Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again for another weekly update on news and information about DCS World. I'm your host, of course, Prickly Hedgehog, and oh man, am I excited about this week's newsletter because, of course, the MI-24P Hind is now available for pre-order in the eShop. Not only is it available, but it's also 30% off. And of course, if you have air miles, well, you might be able to knock a few more bucks off that price, sitting at around $50 US if I read this correctly. So well worth picking up this aircraft if you're interested in a two-person helicopter, because the precursor, obviously with the Hind, the development of this aircraft is going to have some interesting flow on to the Apache, which I know a lot of you are excited about, and not everybody necessarily is thrilled about the Hind in terms of wanting to buy it, but I think there's some really interesting stuff here that I can't wait to see how Eagle Dynamics has resolved that AI thing, compared with, I should say, to Heatblur, who've done a brilliant job really of that, and also that communication wheel that they developed so that you can interact with the Rio relatively seamlessly. That has worked out pretty well, so I'm going to be very interested to see what Eagle Dynamics has done there. And some people have even, I think it was Spudknocker maybe, who suggested that wheel should be used for all communication in the game, outside of just communicating with the Rio. So, cool stuff. We'll see what happens. Let's talk about some housekeeping stuff before we delve into this Hind a little bit more. First off, I do owe everyone a little bit of an apology. I made an error last week when I referred to the Mosquito as being developed as an unarmed reconnaissance aircraft and then branching out into other roles such as bombing and fighter bomber. In fact, Auntie Static from Grim Reapers, if you're familiar with the Reapers, I'm sure, but you may not know, Auntie Static is affiliated with the Reapers. And Auntie pointed out, hey, no, you were wrong. It was in fact developed as an unarmed bomber. Some of its early missions were in fact reconnaissance, but the aircraft was a bomber. And then obviously after that, once the RAF realized what they had on their hands, which was a very capable fighter bomber, then it was armed and did the roles that we are probably more familiar with it doing during the course of the war. So I apologize for that. Now, other news before we delve into this Hind business. The Eagle Dynamics team have said some interesting things here about clouds, which they are still working on. And they have said here that the volumetric cloud system required a significant rewrite of our radar, sensor, and weapon system code. So they're working on that. And to integrate the cloud smoothly, the process is going to be split into stages. The clouds will initially be released as a purely visual feature with the possibility to select a wide variety of weather presets from the mission editor. Then after the initial release, we will finalize the work on the radar and weapon systems, as well as how the AI behaves in the new weather conditions. Now this is significant because they have said that the clouds should affect close air combat line of sight behavior. And they have to work on that because obviously you don't want to be in a situation where you're, particularly say for World War II, where you primarily had your eyesight as your primary means of painting a picture of the battlefield, although radar was around. But if you're in a dogfight and an AI aircraft disappears into the clouds, it should disappear, and if you do the same thing, so should you. But you could be in a situation, if it's not done properly, where the AI actually sees you all the time, which it can kind of do right now as it is, and you don't really want that. So you don't want to be in a position where an AI aircraft essentially shoots you down by seeing through the clouds. So that's what I'm assuming that means, and that's why they have to do some work on that to get it up to scratch. So with regards to Open Beta 2.7, remember that the Hornet and the channel map are going to get out of early access here. They hope to release them within a short time frame of 2.7, and they've pushed back, unfortunately, 2.7 until the 7th of April due to the heavy testing and third-party integration requirements. So there's a lot going on in the background right now that they have been really working on to get this ready to go. This 2.7, as I said, is a big deal. We already got a snippet of this, which I mentioned last week, where Reflected Simulations basically said that it's a new game with these clouds. And again, this is significant, particularly for the World War II aircraft where the clouds can play much more of a factor in the hide and seek kind of component of dogfighting, etc., etc. Certainly particularly dangerous clouds. If you're not paying attention, you need to be very much more aware of your surroundings, because radar and all those kinds of things are relatively rudimentary. Cool stuff. All right, let's look at the Hind, the pre-order, and what we're getting for our bucks here. Now, what Eagle Dynamics has described is that the Hind is known for its great exploits by the airborne units of the Soviet Army during the 1980 Soviet-Afghan War. The Hind is a tough, durable aircraft, and it packs a heavy punch, which we know. The DCS version is a simulation of the legendary Mi-24P attack helicopter, which was developed in the USSR and first introduced way back operationally in 1972. Goodness, that seems like a long time ago. Good year. Anyway, it has seen extensive action over the past 40 years as an effective combat air support helicopter. Fast, reliable, and loved by pilots, this incredible machine still serves in more than 50 countries. Now, the DCS version is an opportunity to touch history and try yourself as a pilot of the legendary attack helicopter. Very, very cool. Now, work is progressing steadily, and we're excited to announce the list of features planned for the early access version, and this is what they have said they're going to give us with that early access release. We will have a professional flight dynamics and engine modeling with high precision characteristics of the real aircraft in all ranges of altitude, temperature, and speeds for different weights and flight configurations. We're going to have two 6 degrees of flight, highly detailed cockpits with Russian and English versions available. Excellent. Fully clickable cockpits with interactive control of all onboard systems with the mouse. It's multi-crew, so the second crew member can be another player of Petrovich AI, basic AI level during the early access phase, and then detailed modeling of the entire electrical fuel, hydraulic, anti-icing, fire protection, SAS, not Special Air Service, but stability augmentation systems, I would imagine, autopilot and radio systems, full modeling of armament and weapon systems with the ability to use the 30mm cannon, nice, unguided rockets, the S8, S13, and S24B variants, and bombs from both cockpits, in addition to the guided air-to-ground missile 9M114 operated by the forward-seated pilot operator. Standard Russian new and, of course, weathered liveries, in addition to Iraqi and Syrian schemes. We're going to have early access manual and Russian and English versions, and there will be some training missions as well. So that's all pre-order early access stuff that you're going to get. Plenty to get your feet wet and cut your teeth on this fantastic aircraft. As I said, I'm excited about it. I think it's freaking cool. It does look like a neat aircraft, and I'm happy that Eagle Dynamics is putting it in the game. Although I know a lot of you would prefer to have the Apache first, but we're not going to get that. But we're going to get a nice teaser with this aircraft. Now, moving on to the release version, we're going to have the cargo hold gunner with the cord machine gun, the advanced Petrovich AI features for pilot or pilot operator seats, the addition of the air-to-ground M9M120. I guess this is the high explosive anti-tank and high explosive versions of that rocket. And the R-60M air-to-air missiles. Excuse me while I take a little slurp of some tea here. We're going to have sling cargo operations, advanced damage modeling, additional liveries and livery templates, so you'll be able to make your own liveries, in other words. The manual is going to be in Russian and English, and the full list of languages is to be determined, but I would imagine... well, there'll be Chinese, I would imagine. That will be in there, and a smattering of any other possibilities. We'll see. Spanish, maybe? Anyway. Seems like a logical choice, one of the other major languages in the world. And then pre-order DCS Mi-24 Hind. Right now, as I said before, it's 30% off. And the early access is planned for release, as I said, I think, in the second quarter of 2021. So, soon. In other words, not 2 weeks, unfortunately, but soon. Now, as part of the development shots, we've seen this was mentioned last week, they are currently working on new reflections using extended pre-calculated light technology. A lot of discussion about what this would look like. This is a little bit different, I think, from ray tracing, but which happens live. So we'll see what that kind of manifests itself as in the game, but I'm excited. It looks pretty cool from what I can tell. So again, we'll have to see what the final guise is. The cockpit apparently is roomy, it's pressurized and chemically and biologically filtered, making it a comfortable place to fight and operate in, although I'm sure there's not a bathroom in there, so that's out. The multi-crew mode will be available from early access, and we will unveil our initial Petrovich AI. So as I said, I think this is a really exciting development, this AI stuff, so stay tuned, because I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like in the game and getting this aircraft up off the ground and hopefully not crashing in the first 5 minutes. Anyway, so again, they look forward to sharing more information closer to the early access release in late Q2 2021, so again, not 2 weeks. One of the top priorities for them will be the interaction and infrastructure for Commander and Operator AI. So there's a lot of work going on there. Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. Let's turn to snippets of information to, if you're familiar with Flying Iron simulations, apparently they did create a version of the Mark 9 Spitfire. Squirrel, actually, if you haven't seen his channel, he took the aircraft up for a little spin to showcase it in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So it's not a DCS product, although they are working on the Corsair, the jet version of the Corsair, that is. So no word yet. I think we're probably due, shortly for another update with regards to where they're at with that aircraft. The Spitfire looks particularly gorgeous. Looks like they did a nice job of that, so it's promising. They've never done an aircraft for DCS, so we'll see how that comes about. And also Razbam showcased a few more shots of the F-15 Eagle, which I'm throwing up now so you can look at that. Let me know what you think. I know a lot of people are waiting for this Eagle. There's sort of gnashing of teeth and, persnickety comments about whether or not Razbam is going to ever release a new aircraft. Perhaps fairly, perhaps unfairly. They're working on stuff. They play their cards fairly close to the chest, and then they throw out these pictures, and then people get excited and say, okay, I can't wait to buy it, and then things just sort of sit, and then people get kind of mad, and sometimes I get in the crossfire of like, ooh, this is never going to get developed, wait till the year 3000 and get mad at me, or just want to throw a barb or two at Razbam. Razbam are working on a lot of stuff, and in fairness, the stuff that they're working on looks pretty damn good. So I don't know where they're at specifically with regards to the F-15 and how long we're going to wait now for that aircraft to be revealed, but we're certainly getting closer than what we have been in the past. So stay tuned. Stay tuned indeed. Well, sadly, this brings us to the end of another video. And I just want to thank everybody for all the kind words recently. It's been a tough couple of weeks for me, and feel a lot better than I did last week, I must say. So again, I appreciate the support from the community, and I hope you're all doing very well where you are. I hope you get to do some flying. I haven't done enough, or barely done any in the last couple of weeks. I need to get behind the wheel again, or the flight stick again, and get some time back in the cockpit. We'll wrap it up. Thanks again. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, I appreciate all the feedback I get, and I enjoy the discussions that we have on this channel. So carry on doing that. Carry on flying, and stay safe out there, everybody. This is Prickly Hedgehog out for another week. We'll see you next time. Cheerio.